So, okay. So today, welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions Part 3. The guest I have today really needs no introduction at all. So today we have the one and only Phil X.
Hey there.
Phil, I really want to thank you for coming on today and chatting. It's truly an honor, and I can't believe I get this opportunity. So thank you very much.
Oh, no problem, man. Anytime. Actually,
And
no, I don't mean that. Not anytime at all. Just now.
Obviously, I have your permission to record and upload to YouTube, correct?
Yes, of course.
Cool. All right, so we'll get started. What made you want to learn to play guitar, and what was the first song you learned?
I was 5, and my dad very musical, and so he, not just dropping hints that I should play an instrument. He bought instruments. He bought like plastic ukuleles, and then once I was like, hey, he's playing a melody on this plastic ukulele, he actually bought me an electric guitar, and I was 5, living in a modest home, and so for him to go out and spend that money on an electric guitar was a big deal. But that was his passion, and he kind of imposed that passion upon me. But it stuck, and before I knew it, I was learning and singing and playing Elvis Presley songs. And I think the first one was Blue Suede Shoes. And then once I got Teddy Bear down, I had a whole Elvis set. So I'd be playing for family and friends coming over, and then before you knew it, it was at a Greek wedding. And it was just that's when I thought, like, people started going crazy. So that's when I thought, this is what I'm here to do.
That was your calling.
When I was 8.
Wow, that's really cool. So you just grew up and you learned different songs and
yeah. Before I knew it, it turned into Black Sabbath and Van Halen. So it the rock and roll started flowing in, and then I knew early on that I really had to develop my own style and my own. I didn't want to be a copycat, so I just worked really hard at honing in on my individuality as a player.
When would you say that you developed your own style, like the way you play now?
It started early. I was like probably 16. I really started honing in on what I thought I had that other people didn't. Because when you're a young guitar player and you live in a community, there's other guitar players. And sometimes you're rivals, and sometimes you like get together and just jam and learn from each other. But I excelled above a lot of my peers, so I wasn't learning anything from them. So I would just do anything that would help me excel. So I took bouzouki lessons since I was Greek, and I'd learned a lot of bouzouki early on. But I really wanted to learn a more technical aspect of the instrument, and I applied that to my picking technique, which just took it over the top. It's a very articulate instrument. So when you apply the same picking to guitar, people are like, what the hell? Where'd you get that picking style? I'm like, yeah, man, I learned it from bouzouki.
Which I think I was just watching one of your guitar clinics from last June, and I was watching you tune your strings to bouzouki, and I thought
bouzouki tuning, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, next question. In the 80s, you formed your first band, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sidonex, which is your last name reversed.
Yes, sir.
And I know you've also played with Aldo Nova, Triumph, and worked with, obviously, many other artists.
Yeah.
But my question is, how did the Drills form?
Well, I had moved to Los Angeles in '97 with my ex-wife, who was a singer, and we had started a couple of different bands. But then we started this band called Powder, and it really started to take off in LA because it was very different. And you can imagine how many bands and artists moved to LA to follow their dreams. So he opened up an LA Weekly, and there was like 40,000 bands playing every week. So if you didn't do anything to stand out, you just got lost in the shuffle. So we did a lot to stand out, and it was mostly her. Like, she's just a character, and we had fembots in the show that wore the same outfit as her, and then before you know it, she was doing like Cirque du Soleil stuff in the show. But she really started taking the reins and and it started being more about her than me, and I thought that's cool because we write the music together. And then by around 2003, I think, I was feeling like she was taking more control, and I was kind of, being pushed to the side. So I started, okay, well, I'm just going to start another band, and I'm going to write lyrics that you wouldn't sing and sing melodies that you wouldn't sing and play guitar the way you wouldn't want it in your band. And that became the Drills.
Wow, that's really cool.
Well, I mean, I feel like when you're an artist, if you have different canvases to paint on, then I feel it's fortunate. Like in this case, like now at this present time, my two canvases are the Drills on one side and Bon Jovi on the other side. So that's a very fortunate and blessed situation to be in as a musician.
And that's why I really like watching you play. Is like I like seeing you in Bon Jovi, and then I also like seeing you play in the Drills because it is just two different spectrums.
Oh, it really is. But yeah, thanks for noticing.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, next question. You're obviously hugely known to be a part of Bon Jovi, but you're very underrated for the Drills, which I think is an incredible band. My favorite Drill songs would be Beautiful Apartment and Evil Robot Acoustic.
Wow.
But I know neither of them have been released acoustic. I remember I asked you last year on a Twitter Q&A if you'd ever released Beautiful Apartment acoustic.
Right.
But with Evil Robot, I think it's such a really cool song, and I know I want you to like release it one day. But obviously the lyrics you kind of get the gist from the lyrics. But how did you come up with Evil Robot?
Well, it's funny. When you're working in an office space, like I actually did work at an office space for a bit when I was a struggling artist in LA, and my office space was Zappa Records. I worked in the shipping department, shipping Zappa merchandise all over the world. And me and a couple of friends, we were working there, Scott and Niski, and there was a couple of girls that were working in the front office. And basically, the ex-girlfriend thing came up a lot. And not only do guys have ex-girlfriends, but current girlfriends have to deal with ex-girlfriends of present boyfriends. So somebody would come in, a girl would come in and go, man, I can't believe his girlfriend is still calling him. And I'm like, wow. So even girls have ex-girlfriend problems. So, and then ex-girlfriend, and then at the time I was going through, what's a clever way to say this? Because basically, I feel like everything's been said. So it's just finding a different way to say something, and make it. I'm very tongue-in-cheeky with the Drills, and it's very interpretive. You have to read between the lines. But then sometimes, once in a while, I'll be like, you know what? It's like ex-girlfriends are evil robots.
Sure are.
And then I thought, hey, well, that's a song.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about.
Yeah, like I said, I think that song is so good, and I hope you release it someday with the Drills.
I'm sure I will.
Okay, next question is, you released Stupid Good Looking Part 1 last year, which is obviously a great album.
Thanks.
And I'm really excited to see Part 2. What could we expect on Part 2?
It's very interesting because we recorded 14 drummers to make one drum fest record. But we started in 2014, and by the time we had everybody recorded, it was 2019. So the problem was it was too many songs. It was like nobody wants a 14-song record anymore. Like the public, I feel like fans, everybody wants content, but not all at the same time. So that's why it became volumes. So there isn't the difference is there's 6 other drummers that aren't on volume 1, and in some cases I wrote the material for that drummer. Like for instance, Tommy Lee's on volume 2, and I wrote this song with Tommy Lee in mind. Kenny Aronoff, I wrote a song with Kenny Aronoff in mind. And then same thing with Liberty DeVito. I wrote a song with Liberty DeVito in mind. So you have different. I've worked with all these guys and have a relationship with these guys. And so when you get to in the studio and you make music, you just feel like you're in a band for an hour and a half, and you get to just, create. So every drummer brought a different something to the table, which is amazing, because we got a lot of it on camera, and you get to see drummers not only behind the kit but their personalities away from the kit, and it totally makes sense. Oh man, you drum like that because you're this guy. So there's a lot of when we were driving around in the UK from gig to gig earlier this month, I played some of the new material for the guys, our tour manager Carl and Craig, our driver, and they're like, wow, this stuff it sounds like growth. Like, it sounds like the drills have grown. And I'm like, yeah, see, I don't see that. I feel like we have different faces and different things to say, and it's just everything's an extension of itself.
Yeah, I think the last album, Super Good Looking, is probably the best one yet. But I also love the Kick Your Ass in 17 Minutes album, which is, I think, your first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tico's on one of these new songs, right?
He is, but I don't think I think he's going to be on Volume 3.
Oh, nice.
If there is a Volume 3, it'll either be a Volume 3 or we're going to scratch the volume thing and just make a new record.
Yeah, that works too.
And he can just be a guest drummer because his track is pretty awesome.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to hear that one too. Next one is congratulations on being a Gibson artist.
Thank you.
How did that happen, and how did you come up with having toy figures on your guitars?
The action figure happened a really, really long time ago. I started doing that because I started taking the neck pickup out because I didn't use it, and some of my favorite guitars are one pickup guitars, and I think there's a charm to a guitar just having one pickup. So it just made sense that if I wasn't going to use one, to not have one, and instead of just going out and buying one pickup guitars, take the neck pickup out and do something really interesting. And if you can find an action figure the right size, it looks kind of cool. And I like giving when people give a second glance at something. Sometimes it's the band, sometimes it's something in the guitar, sometimes it's a lyric.
Right.
So I like making. I love giving people whiplash, but it's something you always got to come up with something that represents who you are as a person. So I've always loved action figures, and now I get to share action figures with my son. But it's funny, I stole his Robin for the red SG. He said, "Hey, Daddy, you took Robin." I go, "Yeah, buddy. Yeah, sorry." And he's like, I'm gonna want that back, right? I'm like, dude, you're 6. I'll go get you 10 Robins next week.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it's important to have like your art on a guitar.
Well, yeah, I mean, Eddie Van Halen had stripes on his guitars. Randy Rhoads had polka dots on his guitars. There's a lot of people that are a lot of guitar players that have, like Steve Vai. He's got a monkey grip in his guitar. People have a lot of things associated with them as players and as people. And I just thought it'd be cool if I did something like action figures. Yeah. But the thing, I didn't get to the Gibson thing. A Gibson was always like, when I was growing up, all the people that I loved, all the guitar players that I loved were always Gibson players. It was Black Sabbath and AC/DC and Jimmy Page from Zeppelin and all these guys were using Gibsons. The Scorpions with the Flying V and all that stuff. So I always loved Gibson, and I've always had a few Gibsons lying around. My problem with them in the later years was I didn't think their quality control was very good. So But when they approached me last year, they said, "Hey, man, we totally really locked down our quality control. Why don't you come to Nashville and take some tours of the factories?" So I did that, and I was completely blown away. Not only did they modify each factory so it was more efficient, but when I was walking through and talking to people, people love working there. Like whether they're putting binding on a Les Paul or wiring a pickup, everybody's just, "Hey man, how you doing? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, oh, I love it here." So that really speaks loudly to me. As it's like a family. I feel like I've joined a family. So that was the deciding factor.
So I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of Gibson guitars being played on the upcoming 2020 tour.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah. I got vaults. I got space. I'm filling them with Gibsons. And what was that?
I was going to say, I still think you should bring that, what do you call it, the Mountain Dew guitar.
Oh, the sparkly green one?
Yeah, that's such a cool guitar, and I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it is a cool guitar.
So that's not a Gibson though, is it?
No, it's not. But I might be getting a Gibson version of the Mountain Dew guitar.
Oh, even better.
You never know, right?
That's right. Always good to have surprises.
Yes.
Next question is a Bon Jovi question. Obviously, your first Bon Jovi gig was at Jazz Fest in 2011. What was it like learning those songs so quickly and rehearsing with the band and then going out on stage for that very first show?
Well, I learned the songs. I did get a little bit of notice to learn the songs, and then when I heard that we were going to be rehearsing, I was relieved because I thought I might have to learn a bunch of songs and just walk on stage and do sound check and then a show.
No problem.
But there is no sound check at festivals. So, but I did get to check my ears because I'd never used in-ears before. So I had to get to the festival stage at like 9 a.m. and go through the amps and in-ears and stuff with the Kumi, the tech. And then I got to relax until we went on. The part about rehearsing was I really thought we were going to get time to rehearse, but we rehearsed like a couple hours one day and then a couple of hours the next day. And the funny thing about rehearsing was like nobody knew really what was going on. But when I flew to New York to rehearse, Richie had already checked into rehab. And I climbed into a van in New York, and I sat beside Chico, and he goes, "Hey, thanks for doing this." And I'm like,
"Oh, wow.
Sure, okay, no problem." So we get to rehearsal, and I plug in, and John just starts going through song after song after song after song. And I don't think anybody knew what they were getting into. So I walked in, and I knew that I knew I had to deliver. I knew I had to bring my A game, and I knew I had to, wow everybody. So after 10 songs, Tico was like, "Who the heck is this guy?" Because I was just nailing everything. And if I didn't, I said, "Hey, I know what I did wrong there. I'll have it right next time." And then before I knew it, so walking on stage in front of 50,000 people, I just had to stay out of my head. Because if I would have got into my head, I would have probably blown it.
Yeah.
So you have to keep yourself at a distance. And to me, I was just saying to myself, "Look, man, you've been playing and singing your entire life. This is just Bon Jovi songs. You got this. Don't worry about it." And then I just left it there. If I would have been like, "Oh my God, look at all the people. Oh my God, this is my amp. Oh my God, I've never played 12 string in front of 50,000 people before," but I just stayed away from that, the panic, and you just got to keep it real and your feet on the ground and go.
Well, I think you did an amazing job, and I'm going to sound like I'm praising you here, which I guess I am. When we found out about Richie having to go, and I remember the Bon Jovi fandom and myself, we were all talking to each other, nervous about who's the guy stepping in, is he going to try to replace or blah, blah, blah. And we were all just nervous about it, and I remember it was either live streamed or the videos went on YouTube for Jazz Fest, but I thought you were incredible.
Oh, thanks, man.
You were off the cuff. You had your own rendition, and you could tell it was coming from the heart playing. And I saw you live for the first time with this. I've been to about 53 Bon Jovi shows, and I think I've seen you with Bon Jovi for about 24 of those shows. And
that's funny. That's almost half.
Yeah, it almost is. And I got to tell you, I think those were probably my favorite shows because you just add a certain style and rendition to it, and it's enjoyable. It really is.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So next one is, what was it like to become an official member of the band in 2016?
I have to admit, it still doesn't seem real, because it's actually still surreal walking on stage with these guys sometimes.
Wow.
So, and even after like 40 or 50, now it's been almost, I want to say it's been almost 200 shows or something. But even when it was like 90 shows still in 2013, it was still like, you'd be walking on stage and you're like, hey, it's John Bon Jovi. Dude, you see him every day. Just,
Yeah, I guess in some way you get used to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still don't feel like a member. It doesn't feel like,
You are.
People. I mean, it's on paper.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
I still, I mean, when nothing upsets me about, when people are like, we want Richie back, or it's not Bon Jovi without Richie. Stuff like that doesn't bother me because, if it was a real world, it would be. I mean, if it was the real Bon Jovi, it would be Richie on stage. It would be.
Yeah.
So I mean, stuff like that, I don't let it affect me because I just want the band to be the best it can be. So when I walk on stage, I respect the band. I respect Richie and what he brought to the band. I respect the fans, and I think that's why it worked out so well.
Exactly, and I think in 2011, people were wondering if you were going to replace them. People weren't ready for that transition.
Right.
And I think by 2013, you really won a lot of the fans over.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, well, you're doing good. So in April 2018, Bon Jovi was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I know you've been asked this, and I think I even asked you. I got it was cool on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was your story like to be able to meet Richie and Alec and have the whole band together on stage that night? What was that feeling like, that moment?
It was, that was the most surreal because, I mean, I saw the New Jersey tour. I bought my tickets and took my girlfriend to the stadium show in Toronto, the C&E Grandstand, which isn't even there anymore. So I saw that band on stage. So to be on stage with that entire band, that was like, is this really happening right now? It was one of those moments, right? But at the same time, it's everybody's doing their part, and we played the hits, and it was fun. It was, I mean, if you go and overthinking everything, it becomes less fun. So I was just there to have fun and support the band and do my job at the same time. But meeting Richie was really cool because we had a couple of rehearsals before we actually played in Cleveland. And that was kind of like, oh, man, yeah, oh, there he is. Nice to see. And then one of our rehearsals was at Prudential Center in New Jersey, and he came to soundcheck to rehearse for the Cleveland, and he actually stuck around for a little bit of the show. And he was with Takumi, who what is still his tech and is still a really good friend of mine. And Takumi was like, "Wow, man!" Richie came up and he's like, "Wow, this guy's got chops." So it was kind of nice to hear that.
Yeah, that's an honor. What was it like to meet Alex? Was he?
Oh, dude, Alex is like this little cool dude that just came on. It was like, wow, this guy. Like, the way he looks now, it's like he's got his own style, and he's like a character in a movie. And yeah, and he was just really cool. I mean, everybody was so cool. It was a really good experience.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. I got 4 more questions for you.
Okay.
With the new 2020, now this is probably going to be a big one, and I know you have to be careful. With the new 2020 album coming up, what are you able to share about it, and what was your experience like recording this new album versus recording This House Is Not For Sale?
Well, the difference is easy. In This House Is Not For Sale, I think I was more of an afterthought. Like, John had written all the songs with John Shanks and maybe a couple of other writers, but the record was pretty much recorded. But then John thought, Phil's a big part of this band now, and he should probably be on the album cover and probably in the videos. We should probably get him on the record as well. So I ended up going in as an afterthought to replace some guitars that had already been recorded on the 4 songs that I played on. So that ended up happening, and that was a great experience too, because it was John wanting to include me and then giving me kind of like a chance to shine on the record. When it came to the new record, 2020, I was there from the beginning, so that was a completely different experience. Like, we're all laying down the bed tracks. So I forget how many songs we recorded in 11 days. And it was like day in and day out, we were a band. And I felt like, wow, we're really, like, we're all here. Hugh's here on bass, Tico's on drums, David Bryan's either on an organ or a grand piano in another room, and we're actually laying down these songs. You got John Bon Jovi singing, you have John Shanks on another guitar about 20 feet away, and we're looking at each other while I'm watching what he's doing and he's watching what I'm doing. So not only do we stay out of each other's way while we're recording, we kind of complement each other. We really got that down after a few songs. So that was a really amazing experience, and I can't wait for people to hear how that came out.
Oh, trust me, we're really excited. Myself and millions of other fans, we're excited for it, because we've liked Unbroken and Limitless so far, so we're looking forward to it.
Cool.
Next one, for the Drills and Bon Jovi, when you're on stage, which songs are you really the most passionate about playing? Like, what songs do you look forward to playing every night when you're on stage?
Well, definitely, I really have a lot of fun with. Actually, you know what's even easier? There's a few songs that I love playing every night. Keep the Faith, obviously, because I get to really jump out of my box. And then Living on a Prayer, obviously, because it's like a song that takes me back to when I was like 20 and in a bar and singing at the top of my lungs with all my friends. And it was a song of my youth. And I still get goosebumps because it's like when I jump on that talk box, I've never seen an audience get as electric as when that song kicks in.
Wow.
As soon as you hear that snare, it's like like whether you're in Israel or whether you're in Ohio or whether you're at Madison Square Garden, the audience is losing its mind when that song comes on.
Wow.
It's an incredible feeling. And there are songs that like I love, like Born to Be My Baby is like my wife's jam. That's probably her favorite Bon Jovi song. So every time I play it, and when we play in the States, she's been to a lot of shows. So I always locate her in the audience and just play the song to her. So even if we're abroad or anywhere in the world, I just think of her every time we play that song. So that's another fave. Wow.
And how about the Drills? What drill song do you like playing the most every set?
Oh man, it's funny. I don't know. It's weird when it's your band because it's like it's being asked which child is your favorite.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're basically the creator, right? It's like my mom is like I can't tell you which is my favorite kid. And actually, my mom goes, it's like ask me which finger I would cut off, and I'm like, well, if I had to cut off a finger, it'd be my pinky. She goes, that's not my. You're totally missing the point. I'm like, I'm just saying. But anyways, I love playing. I love opening up with "You're Not Happy Till I'm Not Happy." I love playing Air Hockey Champion of the World. I love playing Talk You Off the Ledge. There are some songs that, and I started doing the broken down version of Beautiful Apartment because I just feel like when we play it's in its punkier form, it just, I don't think the message comes across. I don't think the intent of the song comes across. So, and then when I started breaking it down, I was getting a better response. So I just kept doing that, and I enjoy that. I love doing stuff that we do, which is like when we do Sunny Days, and then at the end of Sunny Days, I do the solo to Hotel California. Or there's other songs that we do where I throw in a different, like when we play Something to Say, instead of going into the bridge, I go into the bridge of Dazed and Confused by Zeppelin, and then we come back to our own song. I love doing stuff like that. It's kind of like paying homage to my heroes, but at the same time delivering our message.
Wow. Next question. Can you share, I know you probably told many, many stories, but can you share a memory that you find funny between you and the band that has happened while on tour or studio or whatever?
There was I have a lot of really great moments with David Bryan on stage. And it's funny because you never know what's going to get filmed, right? You never know what's going to be on YouTube the next day. So we were playing Wanted Dead or Alive. I think it was way back in 2013. No, it could have been later. Could have been 2017. We were playing Wanted Dead or Alive, and John was talking to the audience, and he was about to count the band in. But then David started counting me in the wrong place, like trying to trick me. And I gave him the finger. And then what do I see on YouTube the next day? Phil X giving David Bryan the finger.
Oh gosh, I'm sure.
And nobody knows why. Nobody knows that it was warranted. They just think I'm giving him the finger for no reason.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, and that's the inside scoop right there. You heard it here.
I like that. And the last question: what are your hopeful, with this whole quarantine thing going on right now? But what are your hopeful plans for the Drills and Bon Jovi for this year and next year?
Well, obviously, I want to. With the Drills, I want to finish what we started. We had 16 shows planned for March. I should have been flying home today from Vienna.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did 8 shows in the UK, and instead of heading to Amsterdam, where the Europe leg was going to kick off, we just came home. So we didn't do the 8 shows in Europe, which kind of sucks. So we're hoping to get back there later this year to finish off what we had started. Because I believe the 8 shows that we did in the UK, we had such a blast, and we got great reviews, and I think a lot of people came out not expecting to get what they got, which is a really good punch in the face with music and a show. So it's a lot of fun. And of course, I don't know what's going to happen with the Jovi dates, but I'm hoping that if they are not happening in June, July, it's later in the year. I hope it's postponed.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Nobody knows what's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
It's such a weird. This has never happened in my lifetime, and I'm 54.
Wow.
Like, never been quarantined, never been in this isolation kind of situation. Worried for my family, worried for my children, and watching the rest of the world. They're either in isolation themselves or being completely stupid and selfish and being out there and just not having a care in the world. It's like they don't think it's real or something.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I know, like the amount of deaths that happen daily is scary.
Oh yeah, I mean, people are losing their jobs right now, and it's a shame, So if tour has to be postponed or events get canceled, health comes first right now.
Of course.
That's the most important. But I know I've tweeted this to you, but I'm really hoping for some Drills North American dates. I know probably.
Yeah, man. I know. Me too. We're working on it. We'll see what happens if everything gets back on track and people are going out again and people are doing shows again and venues are open again, which is later on down the road after everybody's healthy and moving on, then hopefully we'll get out to the East Coast. That would be awesome.
That would be. Well, Phil, I don't want to take up any more of your time. And again, I sincerely appreciate you coming on and answering some questions and chatting. And
you got it, Jerry.
And for those that are listening, Phil is doing cameos. So if you go to the Cameo website, you can book a cameo from Phil. I actually booked one last week, and I thought it was killer.
Thanks, man.
So go book those. And Phil, thank you. Thank you again very much.
No problem, buddy.
All right, thanks. We'll see you.
See ya.